Hello, everyone. It's time for another Otaku vlog. Today being the 13th of February. So, first off, I should talk about that the poll is now closed for voting for the next Let's Play for the channel. And the results are interesting. Very interesting. So there is a tie between the Gladius Ursula campaign and, oddly enough, Oblivion. So, yeah, so I guess I'll do both of them. That'll be my decision. I will do Gladius and I will do Oblivion. Now, I have been setting up Oblivion with a few mods because stock Oblivion, I actually don't really like stock Oblivion, especially since the actual point, like the actual leveling system, is bullcrap, complete and utter bullcrap, because the enemies will always scale to you, no matter what level you are, so it's optimal to actually just level your character, just not level your character ever. Just keep getting your skill points up in stock version of the game. You just keep leveling your skills and avoid sleeping at all costs to make the game easier. Basically, it's the biggest quote exploit of that game, where you just don't level and you get like all your skills to level 100. Just say screw the attributes, just get all the skills to 100 and you're fine. You are rocking everything around you at that point, and nothing forces you to level, as far as I'm aware. I think there's maybe one part in that entire game where you have to sleep as part of a quest. I'm not certain. I'm a bit hazy on that. I know they did that in Skyrim, but they completely changed the whole leveling experience in Skyrim. If I'm not mistaken, the point of that, the whole change in Oblivion compared to Morrowind, was to prevent the player from just constantly buying their skills. That was part of how they got around that. Plus, they capped the amount of times you can train each level via an NPC, so you actually have to work on leveling your skills. So I've changed that. I'm using a mod to completely get rid of the whole stock rigmarole. So I guess if I go through the mods that I do have installed that I plan on using for the Let's Play, it's for one, the unofficial patches, the Oblivion patch, the DLC patch, and the Shivering Isles patch. I have all three of those installed, as well as the Oblivion script extender and the Elysian uncapper, or Ellis uncapper, whatever you want to call it, so that all skill-related points are no longer capped. So you can go past 100, for instance, for your skills. And this is important because the mod that changes the way you level is the Oblivion XP mod, which changes the entire system to an experience-based system rather than a skill-by-skill use sort of system. So instead of having individual skills level by use, there is just this general experience pool now, and you get to like pick what skills you want to increase when you level up, and you don't have to sleep to level up. So it's interesting. It's all based off of scripts, as far as I'm aware, and it suggests using an uncapper. So I have the uncapper. So that'll be Oblivion. Gladius Ursula, I have technically already started, but I may just redo the first couple videos just so that I am consistent in time with actually doing the videos, because it's like this big gap since I last did the like 2 videos of recording. So I'm gonna just start it over and go from there. As for a schedule, I am uncertain at this point. I wasn't quite expecting there to be a tie, so we shall see what the schedule would be like. Both of them are very long games, so I don't know. I don't think I have the time to do 2 videos a day, but we shall see. If I don't do both every day, it would end up being a situation where they alternate each day. So one day being Gladys Ursula, and the other day being Oblivion, which would drastically extend the amount of time it would take to complete both of those. So we shall see. That's going to be what I'll say at the start. What I will say is Ursula will be first, and it will be on President's Day that the first video will go up. So that would be the 15th, the Monday the 15th of February. I think that's President's Day. Yeah, so that'll be that. And that's like the big like news as related directly to the channel that I have for this particular vlog. In other related news, I have stopped streaming on my Twitch channel because I have a thesis to finish, primarily. That's like the big thing. So I essentially have 2 months as of the 14th. I basically have until the 14th of April to be completely finished. Like, submitted and having the paperwork sent in to schedule my defense. And the thesis has to sit for 2 weeks before being able to defend. And that's like sit in like a department Dropbox, and theoretically everyone in the department will read it. As if that actually happens. So that's why I've stopped the streaming front, and that's also why I am hesitant to have 2 videos a day on the YouTube channel going forward. So yeah, it's just I need to be working on research. In other news, what have I been playing lately? What games have I been playing lately? Well, I was just saying about the whole research thing, and yet I'm going to tell you that I have spent way too much time playing video games, so yeah, take from that what you will. So what have I been playing? I've been playing American Truck Simulator. I have a wheel. It has pedals too, but yeah, it's just a wheel with pedals that are on the floor that I can attach via this doohickey. It's a wheel that was originally designed for PC and PlayStation 2. So it's a very old model, and I've had it for year and a half. I don't even know, maybe a year. Had it for a while, but I bought it for Euro Truck 2, so I'm using it for American Truck Simulator. Problem is, I can't actually have that thing connected, nor my controller if I'm playing Oblivion. That's a little issue there. I actually can't have any controllers hooked up while I record Oblivion because that something is weird there. I don't know if it's from the unofficial patches or not, but something's funky whenever I have a controller just simply hooked up to the system, and there's no way to like disable in game the use of any input device of any input device, let alone keyboard mouse. So it's weird. Weird things happen with it. So for now, I'm not going to be playing American Truck Simulator because I can't even have the wheel hooked up if I'm playing Oblivion. So yeah, there's that. I mean, I like it. I relax to it basically. I don't have a driver's license, and I don't own a car, so it's not like I can actually drive anywhere. So yeah, it's very relaxing, primarily, but really slow progression though. Oh my god, the progression is horrifyingly slow in American Truck Simulator. That's like my biggest complaint is that you do not level up that quickly, and you do not get even remotely enough money for any sufficient speed of progress. Anyway, besides that, that was like more last week before kind of a thing that I was actually playing significantly. Fallout 4 is one I also had played significantly. I managed to beat it relatively recently, and by beat it, I mean complete the main storyline of the game. I eventually got to the point in Fallout 4 where I started sort of getting bored with the exploration and wanted to just finish it. So I finished it, and it was relatively simple. I had a mod installed that changed survival mode to have normal difficulties damage. So 1x, 1x, standard player output of damage and standard player input of damage. So the damage you take is normal, the damage you deal is normal. Normally on survival difficulty, you deal 1/4 of the amount of damage and take, I think it's double the damage from enemies, which is frankly bullshit. And is not how you should design a difficulty system in the first place. But that's been Bethesda's MO for a good long while with their games. But the things I liked about survival difficulty is the increased number of legendary enemies. In fact, you also get more harder enemies, which is how you do a difficulty system. And you also got the reduced healing rate. And I liked those aspects of survival difficulty, but I really hated the damage scaling BS that they were doing with it. So there's thankfully a mod for that. And I even had said at one point when I was streaming it, I literally said, if there ever comes to be a mod that changes the damage scaling, I will get it. And I got it, and I used it for the vast majority of my playthrough for Fallout 4, which was really fun. I loved it, which is why I am extremely scared that they're going to be screwing around with survival difficulty. They have announced that Bethesda has announced that they are going to be changing survival difficulty, likely adding things like requiring you to eat and requiring you to sleep, which, frankly, I also consider complete and utter bullshit. But I can understand that. I would only be okay with any changes they make to survival difficulty if they completely freaking remove the damage scaling from it. That's my biggest complaint. I don't care what you do otherwise. Do not screw with my damage output and the amount of damage I receive. Just don't screw with it. Actually, I'd be okay if it was the hard difficulty damage scaling. Hards is fair without being too overly difficult. But once you get through up to very hard and survival, things just take so stupidly long to die. It is crazy. Anyway, rant over about that. I have played a bit of Polybridge recently. I've had it in my Steam library basically forever. It's an early access game. You basically build a bridge by parts. So you have things like wood and steel, and road, and you have these segments that you use to build a bridge node by node. So you build a segment, and at each end of a segment is a node. From that node, you can attach additional things, like you would have a string of road from one end to the other, and along that road are several of these nodes that you can attach things like wood or steel or cables to. If you have like a suspension bridge type of thing, it's interesting to say the least. I've enjoyed it. It is a puzzle game. It is a puzzle game through and through. That's basically just what it is. So I spent a bit of time on it, got through the first 2 worlds, something like that. I don't know. Might have gotten through the third. I don't really remember all that much from Polybridge. I've sort of stopped it for a little bit. It was mainly just a little bit of a time waster. But the big things, very recently, that I have been playing have been Evoland and Evoland 2. They were on my... they are among the many that are on my list of to get through. So I started with Evoland 1. I enjoyed it, beat it in a little under 3 hours, didn't bother doing like the 100% BS with that particular game. I thought it was interesting. It has a lot of references to the 2 old games, some of which I've never played, but I know enough about to understand. So I was like, yeah, I get it. It's nice. It was fine. It's an interesting little... Excuse me. It's an interesting little experience. Evoland 2 is a much, much, much longer game. It is an actual, real, full game that's over 10 hours long, like more along the lines of 12 to 16 for most people. And it's an RPG at heart. It is definitely an RPG at heart, and it likes to mix things up quite a lot, though. Quite a lot. I have basically made it to the end of the game at this point. I am just shy of doing like the very final thing before the final boss fight. It's basically where I'm at in Evoland 2 at this point. So, yeah, that's where I am with that. I've really enjoyed my time with it greatly. It is a game that I've decided that I want to 100%, which I've already gotten all of the collectible stars, as they call them, in that particular game. And the only thing I have left to do, really, is get all of the cards. So, Evoland 2 actually has a card game in it. It's relatively simple. I think it's fairly fun. But there's like 60 some odd cards that you need to collect, like 61 cards that you need to collect. And I think I'm about halfway through, so I need to go like back everywhere and get all the rest of the cards that exist in the game, and also like fight all the NPCs, have the card battles, as they call them, with all the various NPCs that you can do that with. So that's basically where I'm at with that game. Basically, I spent the entire day yesterday playing that game. From the time I got up until the time I went to bed after 1 p.m. 1 a.m. after 1 a.m. in the morning, I played Evoland 2 from very beginning until the point where I'm at now, which is near the end. So, and I did nothing else. I literally did nothing else the entire day. I was so surprised that I was able to actually focus on a game for that long. Sorry about that. I had to blow my nose really badly. 4 tissues later. So as I was saying, Evoland 2, I spent the entire day yesterday playing, and I am surprised. I am genuinely surprised I was able to concentrate on a single game for that long of a time. An RPG at that, for that long of a time, without feeling the need to stop at any point. It's been getting harder and harder to do that recently, but I think I've found the culprit behind my inherent inability to concentrate for the past, 2 years, something like that. For the past 2 years or so, I've been finding it really, really difficult to do a singular task for hours at a time. Several years ago, I was able to do it just fine. I was able to just sit day in, day out doing single things, particularly playing JRPGs and whatnot. But recently, it's been different, shall we say. My brain hadn't been functioning the same way for a pretty good reason. As it turns out, I might have some sort of allergy or hypersensitivity to caffeine, which royally sucks. Royally sucks. Basically, the symptoms started as soon as I started drinking coffee. Ding dong, we have a winner. So, yeah. Something's going on with coffee, specifically the caffeine in it. It's part of the cause of the sinus trouble, but I think I have normal allergies as well. So it's like I have dust allergies, I think, something like that. I don't know. But the stuffy nose stuff has happened for a lot longer than the time that I've been drinking coffee. So I know it's not fully related to coffee on that front. to caffeine on that front. But what is definitely related to the caffeine is the inability to concentrate. Basically, like attention deficit symptoms linked to coffee consumption. So, specifically, either A, allergies, or B, a hypersensitivity to coffee. So, yeah, there is that I realized just recently. I realized it last week. Well, at the beginning of last week. So I basically had my last cup of coffee on Sunday, February 7th, and it's currently Saturday the 13th. So one more day, and it'll be a week since I last had a cup of coffee. What I have been having is decaf tea, which even the decaf tea affects me. Even the decaf tea affects me, which has like 10 milligrams of caffeine in it. Even that affects me. And I go through the whole up and down in about a period of 2 hours from the caffeine. So it really affects me. So I'm thinking it's more along the lines of a hypersensitivity more so than an actual food allergy, because it does not take much. It just does not take much, and I still feel the impacts of it, though they're much briefer now. And then of course afterwards it's the withdrawal symptoms, because I've had a rather huge cup of coffee every day for 2 years. Well, not quite 2 years. Basically, I started drinking coffee from my Keurig machine, which broke recently, sadly. I was using it for hot water primarily these days. I went from the Keurig, like 8 ounces of coffee, 1 tablespoon of coffee grounds for a cup of coffee. I went from that to buying a small coffee pot, a 4-cup coffee pot, which was actually about 20 ounces, and filled a mug like this perfectly. And that was the majority of the time. That was like a year and a half's worth of time spent having 20 ounces of dark roast coffee every day. But fairly recently, I've started drinking more. I actually grabbed the full 12-cup coffee pot that was sitting in the kitchen that had been sitting there for years and no one's ever used it. It wasn't mine. It was here when I moved in and no one's used it, and every single other roommate that I've had has moved out since that time, so it's technically no one's at this point. So I sort of requisitioned it like a month ago approximately, and started drinking more along the lines of 6 cups. So, well, that brand defines cup as 5 ounces, so 30 ounces. So an increase of 10 ounces of coffee each day, and I felt like crap. Oh my god, I felt so terrible for the longest time, especially after making that change of increasing the amount. It's like I still feel tired in the late afternoons, like around 2 to 3 p.m. I'm still feeling overly tired during that time period, even though I've increased the amount of caffeine that I'm drinking. And I feel like crap within for the 3 hours after I initially drank it. So yeah, it got to that point where I was just had to stop. Had to stop. So I stopped, and now I just have decaf tea. I have decaf green tea and I have decaf Earl Grey. They have been getting me by for the most part. Um, the withdrawal symptoms have been rather minor comparatively. Like, the withdrawal symptoms that I've been getting have been in no way, shape, or form even remotely close to how crappy I felt while I was drinking the coffee, which is definitely saying something. And the biggest thing has been a slight headache, not like a really pounding headache, but just a minor headache, which I have pain pills. I just take an Advil liquid gel, and I'm fine after that. So it's like, oh yeah, this is completely manageable. I should have done it a long time ago. And as a result now, my mind is completely clear. Like before, it was like my mind was in this persistent fuzzy haze, this like tingly haze after drinking coffee that would last a really long time. And while it was like that, I would never be able to concentrate on any single thing. I would be alert, I would be awake, but I wouldn't be able to concentrate on a single freaking thing ever. So now I don't have that. My mind is clear. I can concentrate anything at this point, which, it explains how I haven't been actually able to force myself to work on my research over these past couple of years. It definitely offers an explanation for that, and it's why I am hoping I will be able to really, really get stuff done at this point. I need to get stuff done. I really, really do. I'm just so glad I can actually think now. I can actually think. I can actually concentrate for extended periods. It's just so nice. It's just so nice compared to last week and the week before. I feel so much different. That being said, I am very, very tired later in the day. I'm surprised I was able to actually stay awake all day yesterday to play Ewoland 2. But the day before and the day before, like the previous 2 days, I had to take naps during the day. So, yeah, it's the fatigue side really. I think that's the biggest of the withdrawal symptoms is the fatigue, the body fatigue, not the mind. The mind is fine, but the body wants to sleep, which it's frustrating because the brain wants to focus on what it's doing, but the body is saying, I want to sleep now. And it's very annoying. It's annoying more than anything. But that fatigue will go away. It's likely already starting to go away. And within, I don't know, at the rate that the withdrawal symptoms have been going, I would say within a couple, well, within the next week, they should be gone. I would hope. They can last as long as a month, but yeah, it's just at the rate they're going with me right now. I'd probably say that they'll be gone sooner rather than later. But we shall see. A it will be a battle going forward. I have had occasional cravings for coffee, especially because back in my bathroom where I have the coffee pot, the pot's still there, and I literally just bought a huge container of coffee grounds. It was on sale. It was like $7 for dark roast coffee, and I was like, yes. And then I was like, no. So I have like this nearly full container of coffee grounds that's not going to be drunk ever by me. How sad. But it's there. It's a temptation, as they say, and I can fight temptations. I actually have willpower. I I understand in my mind that like the conscious part of me understands what that the unconscious is craving it, and it's how I can force myself not to actually give in to the temptation. It's all part of that thing called willpower, as they say. It's like I am aware that I am craving, therefore I'm not going to give in to it. So anyway, that's me done rambling for who knows how long. I have some stuff to edit out, but yeah. Other than that, I will see you all for the Ursula campaign on the 15th, and I guess the Oblivion playthrough on the 16th. One last note about Oblivion, though. I've only beaten the game once, and I have never fully done the DLC content. I think I started Shivering Isles once, and that was all I have done in Oblivion. I have not had very many hours of time spent in Oblivion. Not at all. I think no more than 50 total ever. So please do bear that in mind. I spent far more time with Morrowind than I had and with Skyrim than I have with Oblivion. Oblivion's the one that's basically gotten left behind with me. And I know a lot of people love Oblivion. I know a lot of people love Oblivion over Morrowind, who started with Oblivion. I started with Morrowind, and most people who started with Morrowind didn't really care for Oblivion. Just gonna point that out right now. So when I start recording that, I'm gonna have some stories at the very beginning of it that I want to tell about my initial experiences with Oblivion and as to exactly why I haven't spent a ton of time with it. But I do know enough about it to get by. I have played and beaten the main campaign, and I have gone through like the various faction quest lines before. I have done that sort of stuff already in the base game. I just haven't done like any of the DLC stuff, really. And it's been a long time since I've done an actual playthrough of Oblivion. So, yeah, with that, I would like to thank you all for watching, and I will see you all on the next one.